Rangers Journal Night.
Hello and welcome to the Rangers Journal. My name is Doug and you're watching the Lowdown, your bite-sized chunk of information on our upcoming opponents in Rangers' next game against St Mirren. We've had a bit of a break from the football due to our unfortunate exit from the Cup, meaning we didn't have a game last weekend. So we've had a bit of downtime since the Europa League exit to Athletic Club, and a game that was fraught with some poor performances, some decent play, and some terrible refereeing / VAR decisions. So having come out the other side of that, where are we now? We've got 5 games post-split that are ultimately, 4 at least, ultimately meaningless. One Old Firm game still to go. We need to make sure that we solidify second place for the European football next season. But other than that, this is more about playing for pride, playing for places, and potentially futures for some of these players as we move into a new era. We've just had confirmation, the first official confirmation of the takedown talks, or the takeover talks, I should say, that they're going well. And some of these players, they really do need to start showing a little bit of what they can offer to the potential new manager and the new regime. We've now got our sporting director in as well. And that's, I think, really what I want to see from the remainder of these games. And we'll touch on that a little bit when we start to talk about our selection. But going into the current form of teams so far, the form is actually very similar. We've both got 1 win in our last 5, with 2 losses and 2 draws. St Mirren's win came in their excellent 5-1 demolition of Kilmarnock. Our win came in our decisively not good 4-3 beating of Dundee, which we won in just the last minute of that game. We're really looking to, try and take a step up, try and regain a little bit of our composure, regain a bit of our confidence going into these next 5 games. As I say, looking for wins. St Mirren have beaten us twice already in this season. 2-0 in the last game in February, and then 2-1 prior to that in the December. So, St Mirren can come into this game feeling confident that they can continue that trend and get more points on the board for themselves, having got themselves into 6th and into that top berth of the half of the league. They are sitting in 6th with 41 points. We're sitting second, it was 66. They however have a -9 goal difference. They've not scored a huge amount of goals this season, and have struggled to keep clean sheets, which kind of kept them kind of yo-yoing a little bit between kind of 6th and 9th in the league. But as I say, ultimately they've managed to get themselves into that top half for the split and for these upcoming games. In terms of what we can expect from them, largely the same as before. They're still playing their 3-5-2 formation, looking to build out vertically into wide areas as quick as they can, getting their sort of wing backs forward. Building from the back, they'll play shorter passes into the centre midfield before going out wide. And do have a strong sort of defensive unit with players who complement each other, albeit not necessarily the strongest. Got obviously Gogic in the centre as kind of their linchpin defender. They can be tactically flexible and adjusting when they fall back or off the ball, but do tend to keep the 3 at the back. And can be prone to turnovers as well, with players frequently losing duels, which is a trend across a few of their players and team. But obviously they've played well in their last few games and against us, and as I say, welcome and confident they can do so again. Thinking about their danger men when at this game, the last time I highlighted their forward, Olusanya, he's since been signed and moved off to the MLS, so we no longer have to contend with him, which he was a bit of a nuisance in the previous game. So I've pulled out their highest scorer and their best assister for this game. So Callum Boyd-Muntz and John Ayunga, midfielder and striker respectively. I say they've got the most sort of goals and assists for them, have the potential to cause trouble and combine dangerously for the team. Boyd-Muntz got 5 goals and 1 assist in his 25 matches. He's got a 91% dribble rate moving from midfield forward, but only 58% in terms of tackles won. So maybe not quite as good in the defensive sense. Ayunga, 2 goals and 4 assists in his 23 matches, pass accuracy of 64%, so he's reasonably decent in terms of passing for sort of their kind of level, and 10 chances created. So, as you can see there, for what I touched on earlier, they're not great stats in terms of they're not scoring loads of goals. Some of the goal scorers they did have in terms of Alisanya have left. So maybe that makes a difference coming into this game. But as I say, I'm sure they'll be confident to try and make something of it nonetheless, and come into this game obviously with those 2 wins on the back of their back of the shirts, ready to challenge us once again. In terms of ourselves, we've got a few injuries going into this game. So Yilmaz, Sterling, Balogun, Lawrence all confirmed as injured. Yilmaz is out for the season now, and that may well be the end of his Rangers career. His injury record really sets him up as a player that we just need to move on. He is a good player. I quite like him. I think he is our best left back. All in, but he's just not available enough for that to matter. So want to move on. Sterling, I think, unfortunately, kind of falls into a similar position. He's available more often, but still has enough injuries that it kind of takes away from how good he is on the pitch, that he's not available enough to make a difference. He's not been able to challenge Tavernier for that right back position. And has kind of, perhaps his detriment, had to play all over the place as well in terms of filling in for different positions. Another player missing from this game is Ross McCausland, who's suspended, so he won't be able to take part. However, in the training video that was put up today, we saw Caston Virgil back in training with Rangers, which is something I don't think a lot of people expected to see. Highly unlikely that he's going to be playing this match, but perhaps that signals that maybe he gets a look in at some point before the end of the season. Obviously, it'll be very interesting to see what happens with him. We do have obviously the option to buy, but he has been out all season, and there is injury concerns with him as well. Perhaps one that we should learn from the past, but we'll see how that pans out. Oh, and then I think in goals, Kelly has done nothing to say that he should be removed from his position. As I've said before, I think it's his position, his shirt to lose now in terms of these final games of the season, show what he can do. The defence, sort of the usual suspects, I think mostly pick themselves, though I would like to see Enciala getting all of these 5 games, playing beside Sutter, seeing the 2 of them. They could be, a unit that is the starting fullback, starting centre backs next season, depending on who we purchase. So, Enciala has shown that he is a decent player, and I think he should be given the minutes now to really stake a claim for himself to potentially have that jersey next season, or at the very least be in the mix. Same for Bailey Rice. He's had a couple of opportunities, but can we see him playing in this game and in games for the remainder of the season to show what he can do in terms of can he potentially make a claim to have a position in that midfield? It's going to be difficult. We've obviously got at least one player coming in already at the start of next season, and we'll probably purchase more. We don't know yet, whether the likes of Raskin may be sold. So again, I think this is an opportunity when we've got these games that ultimately are more training games, that we give him an opportunity to show what he can do. Other than that, I think again, Raskin, Diomande kind of pick themselves. I think Diomande, although as well, could use these games to try and show us his best. I know he still has people who criticise him a little bit, or still not sure if he has everything we need. But I do think he has been better in the last few months since Ferguson has taken over. So I'd like to see him again using these games to kind of show us his best, and that he can be someone that we can rely on next season. Cherney picks himself. The opposite side again, Cortez, another player that we've got this obligation to buy. So let's get him in there, get him minutes, get him playing. He's come into that game against Aberdeen out of the blue, not played much if any football, and didn't perform that great, but that's maybe to be expected from his position coming in. So let's give him some minutes, give him some time to try and build up a bit ahead of steam, and again show us is he a player that can be relied on next season. And then up front, Egeman, again I think we should maybe start prioritising Egeman and Danilo for the exact same reasons of just giving them more minutes, showing what they can do. Have Dessers, he can come on. We know what Dessers offers, so he can come in to these games as backup if he's needed. And as I say, we know exactly what he'll bring and what he can give us. So let's see the younger players, the players that haven't had the minutes up till now, getting the opportunity to show what they can do. In terms of game changer, I have chosen Mohamed Diomande. As I say, I do think he's on the edge of potentially being able to have that kind of break into form that Raskin had earlier in the season. Unfortunately for him, it's coming near the end. So I'd like to see him in these 5 games really stepping up, taking charge of midfield, showing us what he can do. He's played really well in European games, and I think he needs to try and bring some of that form into the domestic game to show us that he can be an all-round midfielder across these 2 different types of competition. If he can do that, then I think he stakes his claim a bit harder for his position next season. And in terms of, we need some of the current group to show that they have the potential to improve under new management, so that we can really target what areas we want to improve on in terms of buying and purchasing new players. We can't improve every area at once or in one window, so we need some of our better players to kind of show us that little bit extra. In terms of predictions, after a week's rest and sort of getting over the disappointment of Europe, I'd like to see Rangers really come into this game and try and make a good fist of it. I've said this a couple of times for games before, and Rangers have disappointed me, so I'm giving them a third chance. I'm going to ask and pray maybe that they just give us a good performance. I've put it down to win 3-0, and the hope that we can just, as I say, come into this feeling a wee bit refreshed. The pressure's off them. There's no reason to huff and puff, and there's no reason for them to really feel, as I say, under any pressure, other than the pressure that is there to impress for a new manager. They're not going to win the league. They're now out of all competitions. Just go out there, enjoy your football, play, show us what you can do, and show us that you're good enough to be Rangers players next season. Because if you don't, then you're going to be out the door under new management or the new regime. So, thank you very much for tuning in again today for the Lowdown. My name is Doug. This is the Rangers Journal. And we've got both pre and post content for this Mountain game that you can tune into, as well as loads of great content coming up over the next couple of weeks. We're planning some really good stuff on a variety of topics, sort of looking back over the season, looking at players, looking at managers, options, and various other things. So do like and subscribe if you have not already. And just remember that every night is a Rangers Journal night. Thank you. Goodbye.